Welcome, everybody, to Writing Daily, the show where we get together every single day and talk about writing. We talk about doing it more often. We talk about doing it better. We talk about doing it, whether we're writing a letter to our grandmother or to the King of Prussia or finishing our novel, whatever it is, we're here to talk about writing. Today we're going to get into a little bit technical stuff, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a technical writer. I'm not a genius. I'm not a grammarian. Basically what I do is I write like I talk. So me, for the most part, my writing is about just getting it out on paper and then really working through it to make sure it's the best it can be. But I want to talk today about three words that we use all the time in writing and how we should use them or not use them in particular context. Those three words are as, while, and when. And the idea here, and this is something that ironically my editor wrote me in his notes. And so anyway, before I get too ahead of myself, my name is Devin Galaudet. I am the editor-in-chief of In the No Traveler. I have an MFA in creative nonfiction, and I am the writer of the forthcoming book, 10,000 Miles with My Dead Father's Ashes. So, and by the way, wouldn't it be fantastic if there was a way that we could communicate? Oh, there is. It's on this little box here. So you can check in with me anytime, say hello, tell me where you're from, touch base, and let's have fun talking about writing. So anyway, getting back to as, when, and while. The concept is that if you are writing, you are comparing these two things and you're sort of joining them together and they have meaning. As an example, matter of fact, another article that is called, I think, As I Lay Mostly Dying, written by Stephen Graham Jones on the Chuck Palahniuk website. I'll try to remember to put a link to this. He says in this article, he says the wheels crunched through the gravel as she thought of him. And his follow-up comment is that ugly to you? Unacceptable. If not, then this isn't for you. Sorry, neither is writing prose fiction, but hey, insults aside from this writer's interpretation, I sort of get it. Basically, what's happening is we're using as, while, and when. In other words, when the car rolled downhill, she thought of him. While the car rolled downhill, she thought of him. And the idea is that using one of those three words is bridging these two concepts together. And the question is, do they need to be together? Her thinking of him and car crunching on gravel are those two meaningful ideas that need to be combined. So we think of them as sort of a whole. I totally get it. I think it gets better if you are using these as, while, and when phrases where both things are meeting each other. And this article further gives examples of that. In other words, the tires crunched on the gravel as the car rolled downhill. In both of these ideas, the crunching gravel and the rolling downhill has to do with the car. And so that's an important thing. So I think the trouble point for most people, and certainly in a few of the ideas that my editor brought up to me, is that we're taking two not together ideas, not two actions that sort of complement each other. We're talking about two things that actually don't go together at all. Again, going back to the example that this article talks about, the car's wheels crunched through the gravel as she thought of him, which have really nothing to do with each other. And I think under the worst case scenario, it could be very, very confusing and not actually useful to the reader. So I think it's an important thing to point out. How do you fix it? When I was doing my own edits, and I was, let's say, married to the notion of the car rolling down the hill while she thought of him, it could simply be and. In other words, the car rolled down the hill and he thought of her. He thought of her and some other thing was taking place as well. I also kind of, as I started analyzing it a little bit more, found that, the notion of, and he thought of her, sort of like this kind of, I think the idea was in my head when I was producing these kinds of sentences is that I would be having this sort of like, I could see the car rolling down the hill, and she was dreamily thinking about him. I'm not giving you an example from my book because I really don't have them off the top of my head, because as soon as I took a look at them, I was like, yeah, I totally get it. So I ended up either deleting one half of the sentence and removing the and, or putting those two things together with an and, rather than the while, the when, or the as. But as is still perhaps Stevie Wonder's greatest song, in my humble opinion. Anyway, great song. I wish it was playing in the background right now. So as always, if you like what we're doing here, and I don't know why I keep saying we when it's just me. It's me in the back room. It's me turning on a lamp so I have reasonable lighting. And so always, if you have a question, comment, you're a writer yourself, let's connect. I'm still working. I've got some interviews that are starting to get lined up, so that's going to be fun. Hopefully we'll do that together soon. But always in this box, ask questions. I respond to everybody. Give us thumbs up, follow me on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and certainly give a wow or a sad face or a thumbs up or something like that on Facebook. So as always, I can be found on devingallaudet.com. I talk about writing every single day, right around 1 o'clock. Today I was a couple minutes late, but I want to see you. I want to help both of us write more, better. How about that for a terrible sentence? And just keep telling our stories and telling our truth. And even if it's a how-to book, to get those things down on paper one moment at a time. Anyway, that's what I've got for today. We will talk about another writing tip or idea or something to further your writing career along tomorrow. So thanks for being with us today.